The US used to be a dream destination for millions of travelers. But by 2025, that dream is fading fast. Empty airports, deserted hotels, and once bustling tourist towns now resemble ghost towns. So why is the world turning its back on America? And what exactly is causing the US to lose tens of billions of dollars simply because no one wants to vacation there anymore? Let's dive into the unraveling of US tourism in 2025 and how it's costing the country a fortune. A massive economic bleed as global tourists disappear. According to the latest report from the U.S. Department of Commerce released in March 2025, the American economy is facing a staggering blow, between $64 billion and $100 billion in lost revenue within just 1 year. And this wasn't due to a natural disaster, it's because international tourists are vanishing. Tourism isn't just entertainment. It powers millions of jobs and serves as a vital engine for the service economy in cities and small towns across the nation. The damage is wide-reaching. Hotel occupancy rates have plummeted, forcing many to lay off 30 to 50% of their staff. Airlines are slashing flight routes, letting go of flight crews and technicians. Restaurants, retail shops, entertainment venues, and even national parks are all seeing dramatic drops in foot traffic. Tour guides, Uber drivers, servers, and airport workers are either being laid off or facing drastic reductions in hours. Tourist-reliant towns such as Bar Harbor, Maine, Sedona, Arizona, and Napa Valley, California, have seen revenue declines of up to 70 to 80%, putting hundreds of small, family-run businesses on the brink of collapse. Jason, a 52-year-old taxi driver in Las Vegas, sighed as he shared, "I used to pick up 20 international passengers a day, Koreans, Germans, Mexicans, all kinds. Now I'm lucky if I get 2. The car's running, but the meter's barely moving. I'm thinking of selling the cab and working night security instead." But Jason's story is just one of thousands. Every idle taxi, every vacant hotel room represents a bleeding artery in an economy that heavily relies on global visitors. And the scariest part? The bleeding hasn't stopped, and no one seems able to stop it. Collapse of trust. America's fractured image. For decades, the United States stood as a global symbol of freedom, opportunity, and open arms. But by 2025, that image is rapidly eroding. Not due to war or financial crisis, but because of something less visible yet more corrosive. The breakdown of trust, both internally and from abroad. To many international travelers, the idea of visiting America now comes with serious concerns. Complicated visa procedures and unpredictable entry processes. A tightened, sometimes hostile border stance right at immigration checkpoints. Divisive rhetoric from national leaders, fueling a sense of xenophobia and unwelcomeness. Growing reports of tourists being detained, interrogated, or excessively scrutinized, even when their documents are fully in order. This erosion of trust is showing up in global headlines. International media outlets from Europe to Asia, and even in Canada, are publishing stories titled things like, "Is America still safe to visit?" A striking example that shocked the German public. In February 2025, 2 young German women, aged 19 and 21, were detained for 12 hours at Honolulu International Airport in Hawaii. Despite having valid passports and sufficient funds, they were deported for lacking proof of hotel reservations. Authorities claimed they were suspected of intending to work illegally. The incident led to an unprecedented move. The German Foreign Office issued an official travel advisory, urging citizens to reconsider trips to the U.S. The first time such a warning had been made in over 30 years of diplomatic relations. From a once-coveted destination, the U.S. is now being viewed as high-risk, unwelcoming, and worse yet, unreliable. And when the world loses faith in your country, the drop in tourism is just the beginning. What's truly being lost is America's place in the hearts and minds of global citizens. Would you risk traveling to a place where the visa process is a maze, border control is intimidating, and there's a real chance you might be detained at the airport? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Point Roberts, the ghost town at America's Edge. Point Roberts, Washington, is a geographical oddity. To get there from the US, you have to cross through Canada. Because of that, the town has long relied almost entirely on Canadian visitors to fuel its local economy. For years, Canadians flocked to Point Roberts on weekends to fill up on gas, dine, relax, and enjoy a quieter, cheaper version of America. But by 2025, everything changed. The flow of Canadian visitors has nearly vanished. Local businesses report revenue plunges of 70 to 90%. Gas stations, real estate agencies, and grocery stores are shutting down one by one. A longtime grocery store owner in the town center summed it up simply: "We're not dying from war, we're dying from silence. No one's coming, and no one's asking why." There's no pandemic this time, no natural disaster. The decline stems from subtler forces: escalating trade tensions, controversial political remarks from U.S. leadership, and a quiet erosion of goodwill among Canadian citizens. It's an unspoken boycott, yet it's happening day after day. Once a lively border town, Point Roberts now stands as a stark example of how a community can fall apart, not because people can't cross the border, but because they no longer want to. The Domino Effect. When tourism collapses, the whole ecosystem crumbles. Tourism doesn't operate in a vacuum. It fuels a massive web of supply chains and service industries, and when it falls apart, it pulls an entire socio-economic ecosystem down with it. As international visitors vanish, a chain reaction begins. Airlines like Air Canada, ANA, and Lufthansa have cut multiple US-bound routes due to unexpectedly low demand. Duty-free stores, outlet malls, and shopping centers that once thrived on international travelers are now reporting revenue drops of 40 to 60%. Restaurants and hotels in major destinations like Miami, New York, and San Francisco have begun laying off staff or limiting their operations to half capacity. Plummeting tourism tax revenues are creating budget shortfalls for local governments, leading to halted or canceled public projects like parks, roads, theaters, and museums. Maria, who owns an Italian restaurant in San Francisco's Mission District, shared her struggles. "We used to stay open until 11 p.m. every night just to serve European tourists. Now we're down to 4 days a week. Locals still come, but they're counting every penny. No one orders dessert anymore." This isn't just an isolated incident. It's a stark reminder of a much broader truth. When tourism stops, the economy stalls. And when the economy stumbles, confidence, both domestic and global, begins to unravel. Tourism, a fading form of soft power. Tourism has long been more than just a source of revenue. It's a subtle yet powerful diplomatic tool, a form of soft power that helps nations shape their global image, share their culture, and foster meaningful connections without the need for force or finance. For the United States, tourism was once its most effective soft weapon, from the iconic streets of New York to the natural wonders of the Grand Canyon. From Ivy League universities attracting students worldwide to international arts festivals showcasing American culture. These experiences once positioned the U.S. as a beacon of civilization and cultural exchange. But as tourism fades, those vital global connections are breaking down. The U.S. is losing opportunities for direct cultural exchange with the world through travel. International student enrollment in American universities has dropped by 25% compared to 2019. Source: Institute of International Education, 2025. Artists, scholars, and creatives are choosing Europe, Japan, or South Korea instead, places perceived as safer, more accessible, and more welcoming. Where once travel guides and films celebrated American cities, today they are filled with warnings, advisories, and growing apprehension. The image of the land of opportunity is steadily being replaced with perceptions of rigidity, instability, and unfriendliness. And the saddest part? The US is no longer the destination the world longs to explore. Instead, the world is slowly turning away, choosing to explore elsewhere, while deliberately avoiding America. A weak response from the US government. In times of crisis, people typically look to their government for leadership. But in the face of the worst international tourism decline since the pandemic, the US government appears noticeably absent from its own narrative. As of Q1 2025, there has been no major statement from the Department of Commerce or the National Travel and Tourism Office acknowledging the scale of the problem. Promotional campaigns like Brand USA or Discover America, once praised in previous decades, have become hollow digital shells. No fresh messaging, no clear effort to rebrand or reposition the country's image. Major tourist cities like New York, Los Angeles, and Miami are fending for themselves, launching local campaigns, slashing hotel rates, and offering tour discounts. But without a unified national strategy, these efforts feel like small boats, paddling upstream without a shared map or destination. Meanwhile, countries like Japan, South Korea, and the UAE are treating tourism as a key tool of soft diplomacy. They're investing heavily in global branding, expanding e-visa policies, and using tourism as a platform to strengthen international relations. And the US. Caught in a storm of fragmented policies, political inwardness, and indecisiveness around rebuilding its image, it is steadily surrendering one of its most powerful tools of soft power, without anyone needing to take it away. In this case, silence isn't neutrality, it's passive self-destruction. As the world moves forward, America falls behind. While the United States wrestles with a crisis of trust and lacks a cohesive strategy, other nations are racing ahead, harnessing tourism as a calculated form of economic and diplomatic power in the post-COVID era. Countries like South Korea, Japan, Turkey, Portugal, and the UAE share one common insight. Tourism isn't just a service, it's a strategic investment. South Korea launched its K-tourism campaign alongside the Hallyu wave, combining electronic visas with global promotions through music and film. Japan introduced relaxed short-term visas and used international media to highlight its image as safe, elegant, and rooted in tradition. Turkey and Portugal significantly reduced visa fees and promoted themselves as welcoming destinations through digital platforms and national television. The UAE didn't just build luxury hotels, they built a message: you are welcome here. In contrast, the US, despite having some of the world's best tourism infrastructure, a rich cultural landscape, and unmatched media influence, is no longer telling its own story. So why is a country with all the tools to lead now falling behind in a global race that's subtle but critical? The answer may not lie in policy alone, but in vision. When a nation stops viewing tourism as a bridge to the world, losing its place in the global imagination becomes only a matter of time. Have you ever felt unwelcome when applying for a US visa or going through US immigration? Feel free to share your real experiences in the comments below. When tourism dies, global trust begins to crumble. That's $64 billion in losses? It's just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath it lies a decaying ecosystem, and a nation slowly losing its ability to tell its own story to the world. When travelers stop walking through America's airport gates, it's not just tourism that vanishes. It's America's voice in the global conversation that begins to fade, and the consequences reach far beyond economics. What's at stake is intangible, yet devastating. Admiration shifts to hesitation. Warmth turns into suspicion. The image of a leading superpower becomes one of isolation. The truth is, the world doesn't need America to travel, but America needs the world in order to be seen. If the US fails to recognize that tourism isn't just a side industry, but a gateway to trust, there may come a day when, even with its doors wide open, no one is left waiting outside to enter. The truly frightening part? The world is turning away. quietly. And in doing so, America is losing not just revenue, but its global standing. The trust of international partners and friends, its role as a welcoming, open, and inspiring presence on the world stage. Tourism doesn't die from a lack of visitors. It dies from a loss of trust. And the United States, once a symbol of freedom and opportunity, is quietly becoming a place the world hesitates to approach. That $64 billion loss is only the visible damage. What's more alarming is the silence spreading beneath it. When people stop entering America, the country also loses its place in the hearts of humanity. So the real question isn't just how to save tourism, it's how to save the image of a nation. We've just uncovered the deeper reasons behind why tourism in America is collapsing in 2025, and why the U.S. is losing tens of billions of dollars.